Welcome to Inside Pitch. I'm Jeff Gordon, the Post-Dispatch, with our columnist Lynn Worthy. We're talking Cardinals, and let's start with the draft, Lynn. The Cardinals end up addressing need. They went out and got some what they hope will become someday power pitching. They felt pretty good about how it played out for them in the first round, and they took some shots later in the draft on guys with big arms, but either injury or rawness makes them, project. All in all, your take on what they accomplished in the draft, and maybe a little warning for our fans not to get too excited?
Yeah, I mean, addressing pitching is something that they've needed to do. It's been an issue for years now. The fact that they took some, like you said, maybe more raw guys is perhaps a sign that they're confident in what they're going to be able to do as far as pitching development down the line. But to me, the idea, when you start hearing about guys like, Liam Doyle is going to be able to contribute to the big league club as early as next year, that's where I say pump the brakes. Because to me, it's if you're assuming that the guy, or if you need the guy to contribute next season to your big league club, then you're in a bad situation. To me, that's, you look at the clubs that have good organizations that are consistent winners, they don't bring guys in and have to contribute right away within a year or two. Think about the Tampa Bay Rays. In the last, 3 years, they've got, one or two guys that's contributed from those draft classes. The same thing with Milwaukee. I think there's, two guys in the last 3 years from those draft classes that have contributed to the big league club. And one of them is Mizorowski, who is sort of a unicorn in that respect. So if you go in thinking that we're going to draft a guy and he has to be, Paul Skeens or Mizorowski, then you're in trouble. That's the Anaheim Angels, where they've got guys drafted and in the big leagues 2 weeks later. So that's to me, if that's the expectation, then you're in trouble. So I'm not assuming that they're going to be able to contribute right away. I think it's going to take 2, 3, 4 years or more. And even if I think about, my past experience covering a team like the Royals, they had a bunch of pitchers that they've drafted, and they're just now getting to the point where they're consistent starters, and that's 3, 4 years in the making.
Now you look at this team at the break. They were on fumes. They made it to the break more or less in one piece. They're still in the wild card chase. Let's take a look first at what has happened. Getting to this far to the break, I think, was a real accomplishment for the team, for Ali Marmol and the field staff, to do what they did with expectations being pretty minimal.
Yeah, I mean, there was reason to believe that coming into this season that you might not have a competitive, baseball season by the time you got to the break. Obviously, that's not been what's unfolded. Right now, they went into the break, third place in the division, only a game and a half out of a playoff spot, 5 games over 500. So, I mean, they've performed a lot better than what the fear was that they would do. You've got a lot more production from the pitching staff, even though there's been some big bumps in the road, than you probably would have expected when you looked at, Liberatore, who hadn't shown to be a consistent starter. You had 3 guys who are in their, mid to late 30s. You haven't had any IL stints, so they've stayed healthy. You've got pretty good production. I mean, Sonny Gray at the beginning or at the end of spring training was a big question mark because his velocity was down, and he's going to have to learn how to pitch differently. And he's been the anchor. 9 wins. His ERA's under 4. Potentially could have been in the All-Star conversation. So, in many ways, there's been better than what you might have expected. At the same time, they're in the middle of things. They're not way out in front, so there's still a lot of things that could happen.
Now, coming out of the break, you do have a healthy Ivan Herrera for the moment. Hopefully he stays healthy. It's been a tough year for him on that front. He gives you some more right-handed pop. Jordan Walker, however, has remained lost at the plate. You have what you have. The trade deadline's not too terribly far down the road. Your thoughts on your expectations for this team going forward? Mathematically, they're in great shape. They have what they have. Could they add? Could they subtract? Your sense of the team right now as it heads out of this break after catching its breath?
I know Cardinals fans probably don't like to hear it. To me, it's hard to envision a real buy or sell. It's almost sort of a middle road because to me, I don't know that you could really sell and start kicking the can down the road for the future. I mean, I think to me, the guys, and I've written this, the guys who have the most value, especially when you think about trade deadline, it's always pitching, it's bullpen. Well, so whether that's Maton, Matz, Helsley, once you trade those guys, to me, the season's over. So that means that this young group that you're supposedly developing, you're punting on the rest of this season, and now you're talking about 2026, 27, 28 as you're selling to acquire more future talent. So I don't know that you can just keep going with this young group and not have them play in meaningful games. And to me, once you sell those guys at the deadline, that's what's happening. I'm also not sure that they have a whole lot of the sort of things, the collateral that you would need to be able to acquire and to really bolster your team at the deadline, unless that means trading from some of the areas of redundancy, whether that's in the farm system with the catchers or maybe left-handed bats. But then that also, that becomes a matter of what the market is going to yield for you there.
And I'm not sure you're going to get a fantastic return for if you decide a Lars Nootbaars is an extra guy down the road, or you're Brendan Donovan, don't want to trade him. He's an all-star. Burleson City, don't want to trade him. But Nolan Gorman, but what's his value? So these things are great questions. I think there is value in playing meaningful games. These guys have learned while they're playing important games. If they keep playing important games, that's better than being the Pittsburgh Pirates, where all those young guys continue to play meaningless games, and how far will their development go? That's it for this edition of Inside Pitch. A reminder that you can get this video every week, as well as all of our extra content that we have in our digital edition of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch right here at stltoday.com. Until next time, for Lynn Worthy, I'm Jeff Gordon. See ya.